The swimming pool was one color. On August 15th, the water turned a different color. People are upset about it. The Pakistani families won't even go there anymore. Well, you work for the city. You figure it out. I'm out of it. Good grief. Well, anyhow, I'm happy to report that fortunately for the history of horror films, Halloween 3, which we just watched, was a big box office disappointment. So when they made Halloween 4, Michael Myers was back and Donald Pleasance was back. Mustafa Akkad, the producer of that series, learned his lesson the hard way. Okie dokie, at this point I would like to introduce the luscious and lovely TNT male girl. You know what? I didn't see you last week, honey. Where were you?
Cancun.
Cancun.
Yeah, you know, it's in Mexico.
I know it's in Mexico, so you just took a trip down to Cancun?
Yeah, and it was fun.
That must have, you know, cost a lot of money to go down there.
I don't know. Somebody else paid for it.
Somebody else paid. All right, I don't want to know anything else. Don't say anything else. Drop that subject entirely. Don't even mention Cancun. Why didn't you even... You shouldn't have even brought that up.
What is wrong with you?
Nothing.
This should make you feel better, okay? Some more of those boys down in jail likes you. You know what I mean? I think you do. And this one's from Chris Phillips. He's Spencer, Tennessee. I can't...
Spencer, Tennessee. What's up, Joe Bob? My name is Chris Phillips, also known as Yankee. Me and my fellas watch your show every Friday night. We don't have much else to do. We're in Spencer County Jail in Tennessee. Don't get me wrong, but we would like to be at the bar for last call. We don't much care what they look like anymore. We're all in here for DUIs. Our time ranges from 4 months to 8 months. You put a new spirit in old movies. We sit back and get a kick out of your subtle humor. You're one of a kind, Joe Bob. You hear this? If you could, would you bring us up on your show? You see, Joe Bob, we're one of your most captive audiences. We got a kick out of what you said about your third wife. She sounds like a good girl. Could you send her up to the jailhouse? Tell her to bring her pig head. Your friends doing time, Chris, Don, Rick, Tom, Scooter, Jeff, and Chuck. Okay, guys, look, I don't know how long you boys been in jail, but I guarantee you, you do not want to meet my third ex-wife. If you met her on the outside, you'd go back to jail. There's Turkish sailors that have been out at sea for 8 months who won't go near her. She's not the kind of thing that you want to look at the next morning, I'm telling you, especially you guys that are doing whiskey time there in the jail. You have a blackout, end up with her, it could cost you $5,000 before you get your truck back. You know what I mean? I think so. You know what I mean, don't you, hon?
No, I'm still trying to figure out why you hate Cancun.
I don't hate Cancun. I hate the idea of Cancun. You said the word Cancun. I started getting ideas about what goes on in Cancun, and it started to drive me nuts.
So what, then you hate Mexicans?
No, I don't hate Mexicans. If you have to know, I hate the idea of you going to Cancun. I hate the idea.
Well, you're not very nice.
All right. All right. Who'd she go with? One of you guys knows who she went with, right? Why is the second camera guy staring at his shoes? What? It's somebody in this building, isn't it? Dang, you guys, you were not going to say a word to me, were you? Cancun was the secret the whole time? I could have paid for that. You get those $79 weekend pina colada packages, whatever those things are. Too late now. All right, I'm not going to think about it. What we're going to do is we're going to watch the next flick, which is called Burnt Offering, starring Oliver Reed and Karen Black and Betty Davis. And we're going to have what's known as a cooling off period here while I send jackbooted thugs among the crew to gather information. And what we got here is a typical suburban family rents a big old summer house, and there's an old lady living in the attic, and some really, really strange stuff starts happening. Kind of a traditional haunted house flick, but with a big budget. And I won't tell you what happens because I don't want to give it away, and also I'm not sure what happens. But the totals are 3 dead bodies and a lot of creepy noises and strange occurrences. And that's about it. 2.5 stars. Check it out. I'll be sitting right here. And Mexico. Mexico. I thought it'd be someplace like, I don't know, Florida. Mexico would have been easy. Pesos, they're great. Here's $1. They give you like 9,000 pesos. Ooh, the light bulb didn't work. And now it does work. Must be a haunted house. That's why I think it's hard to watch a haunted house movie today. We expect a little bit more than that, you know? Anyway, Karen Black and Oliver Reed, if we see those names today, what do we think? Late night cable, ultra cheapo exploitation crapola, right? But this is 20 years ago when both of them were still big stars. Oliver Reed did Women in Love, and Karen Black did Day of the Locust. So even though this looks like a cheapie, it's actually a big studio movie with big stars. Who'd have thunk it? Okay, back to the strange house where all the clocks are broken. Ooh. All right, now we have sinister roughhousing in the pool. Oliver Reed is great, though. He's a professional brooder. Oliver can brood better than any man alive. He broods better than Klaus Kinski or Richard Burton. You get the impression that Oliver has had his share of vodka tonics in this lifetime, you know? So when he suddenly turns a little nasty, you go, uh-huh, that Oliver, I knew it. He's a brooder. I knew that was going to happen. And speaking of weird looking, Karen Black can just sit at that table in the parlor and look creepy. Is there something wrong with her eye? Is she cross-eyed? She's got that I'm sexy and I'm psycho look. She's the kind of woman who wants to run on the beach naked and then stick electrodes on a cat. Okay, let's run with her. Let's go. We got a lot of what's known as exposition in this part of the movie. I hate exposition. I wonder if they put Bette Davis in this flick just to make us wonder when she's going to turn psycho. Because why would you use Bette Davis in a horror film and make her the normal aunt? After whatever happened to Baby Jane, remember that? Betty was the numero uno scary old lady in the business, so I guess they just have her here as a red herring, you know? I always liked Betty, though. She'd take any job, kept working right up till she died. And in fact, I think her last flick was a horror flick, and she fought with the director on that one. Betty was famous for fighting with the director. Okay, back to the dysfunctional family and their dysfunctional summer house. You know who Bette Davis's best friend was at the end of her life? Robert Osborne, host of Turner Classic Movies. That Robert, what a charmer. Somebody get Bob on the phone. Tell him we need more Betty trivia here. We want dirt. We'll put it on this show. They'll never know it came from him. Is that Richard Belzer driving that hearse? That is a creepy grin, or I guess you'd call it a leer, or a cruel smile. You know how they always say that in novels? He had a cruel smile. Well, this is a cruel smile. I don't know what it has to do with the movie, but it's cool. Okay, back to the flick where something is wrong with Betty. Was Karen Black crying for that bowl? She was, wasn't she? The broken bowl just completely devastated her. So she's bonkers, she's gone. Oliver Reed is about 2 clicks away from Terrell. That's a Texas expression. Terrell is the loony bin in Texas. And Bette Davis is not looking too great, and I wouldn't be that surprised if the son stuck a .45 in his mouth. That actor, by the way, is Lee H. Montgomery. Good job by him, I think. That's a difficult age to portray without being sappy or phony. Okay, let's go. Now something's really wrong with Betty. Okay, Betty's dead, I guess. And it's the house. The house. The house is evil. I don't know, I can just never get into these stories where it's about a house. I hope the old lady in the attic is doing it, though, because if it's just the house, I'm going to be a little PO'd after going through all this. Okay, back to the movie. And this is long for a ghost movie. Ghost movies should be 82 minutes. That's the rule. I should run the world, then people would know these things. Okay, now the trees and the weather are conspiring against Oliver Reed. This is getting a little ridiculous, don't you think? And we still hadn't seen the old lady in the attic. You know, it's been a long time since I've seen this, but do you guys understand this movie? Do you know what really happens? Because we're about to watch the conclusion, and the way I remember it is you never quite figure it out. I'm only bringing this up because if you're watching at home and you do figure this out, then write me a letter and tell me I'll buy you a beer. It'd be worth it to me. Who's crazy? What's really happening? Why is the Richard Belzer look-alike hearse driver grinning all the time? Just let me know the answers to all these questions, okay? All right, in the movie. Here it comes. Roll it. They should have Cliff's Notes for a movie like this. So did Karen Black kill everybody? What happened? I mean, the people who rented out the house in the first place, did they know Karen Black, or did Karen Black kill the old lady and take her place? And what does the title mean? Burnt offerings. Do you remember any burnt offerings in the story? I didn't see any burnt offerings. Were all the characters burnt offerings, like damaged people sacrificed to the house? I have no idea. Write into me and please tell me what happened at the end of this, please. Anyhow, that's it for me tonight, but next week Monstervision will be on not once, but twice. We'll have a special prime time edition of Monstervision on Halloween night, Thursday, starting at 8 o'clock. We'll be showing Poltergeist, Poltergeist 2, and Poltergeist 3, the classic trilogy about people who watch too damn much TV. And then the regular Monstervision will be on next Friday night after the NBA Game of the Week doubleheader. We're going to be on after the second game of the doubleheader, whenever that's over. It's a Phoenix game, actually. It's the Charles Barkley deficient Phoenix Suns against the Lakers. And then there's a half-hour post-game show, and whenever that's over, we'll be on with King Kong, not the classic one, the Dino De Laurentiis new King Kong. Is that confusing enough for you? That's all next week. I'm going to be a busy guy that week, but for right now, this is Joe Bob Briggs reminding you that the drive-in will never die. They can rip down the drive-in screen, but they can't get rid of that greasy little dark place where the drive-in still lives in our heart.